Okay, everybody, welcome to round 5 of the IGTL Season 2 Championship. Today we are at Road America, the land of the free, the land of the fat. We have, very suitably enough, we have an American on pole in the final system. His first race here and his first race in a while in tank chassis. He's done a very good job to get pole position. Zenvo in second, Lucas in third, F Josh in fourth, Zertanius in fifth, Terminator in sixth. Pizza should be in seventh but isn't here, Nitrous eighth, legit ninth, Pedro in 10th, Great in 11th, Chams in 12th, and everybody is away. Very good stuff from system, but Lucas with the slipstream seems to gain a bit there. F Josh up into third, inside of Zertanius, and all over the place. Now we have Dusky is racing today. He didn't qualify. He turned up pretty last second. He is all the way down the order. Absolute mayhem. Lucas is leading provisionally. Josh, System and Zertanius all inside of each other. Nitrous and Great battling for the 6th position. Through into the uphill left-hander, the double lefts. Lucas still leading. Zertanius all over him. Very, very wide. Nearly clipping that wall there. And Zertanius up the inside of Lucas, a little bit wide, drops back a little bit on entry. We'll have a good exit on Lucas though. And Dusky moving his way up into 7th. Everybody's really close on this first lap, obviously. And down the long straight into the last little complex of corners. Oh, and Zertanius hits the outside wall. Great hits the outside wall. All over the place. Dusky is now into the lead after all of that. I see someone potentially being launched off the world there on the left because it's completely floating. Hasn't happened yet. Now the cut limit for this race is 24. It's a 27 lap race, so it should be about 40 minutes. The races should be timed ones, but for convenience they just get rounded up to the number of laps that equate to that time limit. So everyone should be getting about under a cut a lap, and currently a lot of the grid are just not doing that. Lucas out very wide and hits the inside wall trying to correct it. Dusky now leading, Josh fighting him for that first position. Bing Bong just about there as well. System has dropped back a little bit to 4th. Nitrous trying to get a position on him through the carousel. Nitrous running very wide. And coming towards the end of lap number 2 now. And Dusky is leading. Started right at the back, but with everyone else making quite a few errors, has been able to charge his way through. Obviously there is slipstream here. It's a non-collide league with slipstream, so there'll be a lot of trying to attach to the back of each other to keep yourself in the race. Dusky and Bing Bong inside of each other through turn 1 onto lap 3. The pit windows coming up in the next lap. 3 pit stops this race. So essentially all the way through people are going to be pitting. Now, Dusky has a bit of a disadvantage here, really, because the slipstream we saw in qualifying is ridiculously powerful. The pole time was a 1:27.2, whereas laps on your own are actually probably around high 27s, low 28s. You know, they've mid 28s even. So the slipstream is stupidly powerful and should keep everyone within it, as long as you don't drop off of that slipstream train. Dusky a bit wide there. We'll let Bing Bong and Josh get back with him. And Nitrous rocketing onto the back. Runs a bit wide there, so loses all the time he gained from that slipstream. Duskier into the last corner. Will maintain that lead for now. However, with the slipstream, it's all to play for at the moment. Really, the ideal strategy here is just to wait as long as the leader goes on to pit. Because if you pit, you've dropped off the slipstream. You've dropped off the back of the slipstream, and you're just going to be slower. So Bing Bong and Josh really should just wait until Tom pits, and then pit with him. Otherwise, they'll just be a bit slower, really. Into this little downhill, uphill section. I don't know the corner names, unfortunately, but it's a pretty well-known section of the track. Tom continues to lead. F-Josh has dropped back a bit, and Nitrous now takes that third position. Through to the carousel once again. And Dusky just holding on very nicely. Nitrous and Bing Bong incredibly wide. Josh keeps hugging the inside, so is now right back with them. And once again, the slipstream just brings everybody back in. I think the final system is dropping back a little bit. He's not really in the slipstream, so it's going to probably form a little group. Poke is up into 4th. Poke up into 5th. Ahead of the final system. Duskier needs to be careful with his cuts. He's up to 8 cuts now. Only 3 less than Terminator, who is... if he doesn't stop cutting, he's going to 100% get a penalty this race. I get the sense the slipstream is just a little bit too powerful for this race. Dusky just can't catch up. He's pulled a little bit versus last lap, but even then it's still not enough really for Bing Bong to drop back. Pit windows is obviously now open. It'll close on lap number 8. It'll be interesting to see if people do what I said that they should do in terms of not pitting until Tom pits, or if they're going to pit a bit early and potentially damage their race. Nitrous very wide. He took way too tight of an entry there, and that will just launch you wide. Obviously, you do have to slow for the pits in this league, so we could see some penalties related to those who speed in the pit lane. Into the last little section. Nitrous is very, very wide there. Bing Bong absolutely all over the back of Tom here. Last corner. Is anyone going to pit early? Nitrous pits. It'll be interesting to see if that plays out for him. He does go into the pit lane. Go back to watch the front pack because this is very, very close. Now, unfortunately, I think without the slipstream, Nitrous is just going to drop back quite a bit. Pedro gets a 7-second penalty for I assume, speeding in the pit lane. I don't quite know what so just got to confirm. Yeah, Pedro gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He wasn't doing particularly great anyway. He's down in 15th position. And through the carousel, Tom's still leading, but once again the slipstream once again keeping Josh and Bing Bong in contention. This is just going to be repeating the same thing over and over all races. These guys battle for that win. We're about a quarter through the race now, and it doesn't really seem like much has been decided quite yet. I'm a bit concerned by some of the bumps around the track, looking like if someone goes over them and in the wrong way, that could very much destabilise them. Dusky into the pits, Josh into the pits, Bing Bong into the pits at the last second. I think they've all realised that they need to be in the slipstream. And they've all sped into the pits! All of them have sped into the pit lane. Even Josh has sped into the pit lane. Now, I think there have been some issues with the pit limiter activating, so it may be that all of them actually don't get that penalty. And Knight has teleported Bing Bong and killed his car. Well, that's not good at all. Now, I assume those penalties will probably end up being wiped, actually, because if Tom's gets wiped, then all of them should get wiped, frankly. Now, Bing Bong will get rejoined, but a little bit of a silly mistake there. Should always read the name of the person before you teleport someone. Well, Tom continues to lead. Nitrous didn't actually drop back too badly. He's still within that pack, so actually it didn't cost him as much as I thought it might. But then again, Duskier and Josh didn't stay out. They only stayed out like a lap extra than Nitrous anyway, so the time lost for Nitrous wouldn't be that badly. Okay, Bing Bong has been rejoined ahead of Duskier. Okay, Tom has now got the lead back. Alright. The battle for the lead continues on. Bing Bong's been rejoined after that big error from Knight. I think Tom has stretched a little bit of a gap. Obviously, if Tom can stretch a gap, the bigger the gap that he stretches, then obviously the less slipstream Bing Bong will have. However, you can just see that Bing Bong pulling and pulling and pulling on Tom. And now inside of him, he's not going to get any more now because of the fact that the lag vision means that Tom is now behind Bing Bong on his screen. Bing Bong actually will take the lead overall. And neither of them are going to have slipstream anymore. Josh is now going to get the slipstream off of Tom and is now going to catch up onto the both of them as well. And Duskier back into the lead of the race. Now Terminator has calmed down his cuts, but he's still over that limit, right? He really needs to be on about 0.8, 0.9 cuts a lap. The people who aren't at risk of getting penalties are probably Chams, Josh, Rabbit, Bing Bong, and right now that's about it really. Everyone else is at risk. Nitrous has actually dropped back a hell of a lot. System is in that battle for that 4th position. I have a feeling Nitrous isn't really going to be getting much slipstream at this point though. He's about 0.6, 0.7 of a second back on Josh. So, as a reminder, all of these guys at the front have 3-second penalties. Josh now getting launched past Duskier and Bing Bong as a bit of controversy happens related to the pit infringements from all 4 of them. Dusky nearly hitting that outside wall there. Yeah, System and Nitrous have definitely dropped off the back of these 3 now. Nearly hitting the outside wall in the background there, does Nitrous. Oh, a good corner there from Duskier, so he's going to pull a bit, but Bing Bong's still going to have a huge amount of slipstream. Oh, Bing Bong very wide there. Josh is going to get up the inside of him. Side by side for second place. Dusky just about ahead. He's just going to be dragging them with him. And you'll see that, in fact, the gap from P5 to P6 is enormous, with Nitrous in fourth, System in fifth, and Zatanius in sixth. About 6 seconds between the two of them. So in terms of the pit infringements, the confusion lies with the fact that the pit line was actually not put where the gantries are, right at the top of the hill, but they were in fact after that. So all 4 of them got confused, didn't know it, and got penalties from it. I think it's a bit of a dodgy one. Obviously, if you don't practice pits, then you don't know it. But they certainly all have a point. In real life, that pit line is where that gantry is, so it is where they all thought it was. And Josh and Bing Bong still right on the back of Dusky. In fact, Bing Bong briefly takes the lead here. Dusky takes the title line. Josh launching now. And we are approaching the halfway point now, and approaching the second pit window for this race. Now, an update on in terms of the cuts. Again, Chams, Josh, Rabbit, and Bing Bong are all looking like they probably won't get any penalty for cutting. Tom, really, of this group, is the only one at risk at the moment of that penalty. Now, Bing Bong in the lead of the race now. All 3 of them ridiculously close across the line. Absolutely neck and neck. That's ridiculous. Now, System and Nitrous, yeah, they're just slowly dropping back. System and Nitrous very heavily battling though, but that's kind of irrelevant when you've got the front 3 fighting neck and neck for the win. Tom, very good corner there, stretching on Bing Bong and Josh a bit, but it doesn't really matter what Tom does. In order to gain on Bing Bong and Josh, he needs to have an absolutely mega couple of laps to pull from them. Oh, absolutely massive error there for Tom. Hits the outside wall, goes for a spin. He should still be able to catch back up and get in the slipstream though to them. So he should be able to catch right back up. System also makes that same error that Dusky did, which leaves Nitrous in absolute no man's land now. So now Bing Bong in the lead, F Josh in second, Dusky is in third, we've got Nitrous in fourth, System in fifth. However, System is battling with Zatanius for that 5th position now. So Zatanius has been brought back into it a little bit. Nitrous does pit and doesn't speed. Someone went 100 into pits. I don't know if they're still in the race. Unfortunately, lots of tags left from people who've just drove it into the pits and haven't bothered trying to reset it or anything. Terminator gets a pit penalty for speeding. He spun across the line, but obviously speeding is speeding ultimately. 122 SPS into the pits for Terminator. And System and Zatanius continue battling. Bing Bong and Josh absolutely just fighting tooth and nail for that lead. Tom slowly catching back up. He has got a little bit of slipstream on them. And Tom, ignoring that error, he is still with them. Up the hill, Josh very wide. Dusky on to 15 cuts now for this race. Terminator's on 18, Dusky on 15, Pedro 15, Lucas 15. Lots of people at risk of the cut penalties there. And Josh into the lead of the race. Although it's switching constantly. Bing Bong now just about in the lead. They're pretty much side by side, and now Dusky is right back with them. Bing Bong wide, nearly makes the same error Dusky did there. It shouldn't cost him too badly. No, it hasn't. He'll be right within the slipstream once again. Both Dusky and Josh pit. Bing Bong continues on, and Dusky spins into the pit lane. Absolutely launched it into the pit lane. Bing Bong will continue on, and Dusky and Josh through the pit lane. That was certainly interesting. Dusky's actually gained a lot out of that on Josh. That might be what Dusky needs to secure this win, because Josh probably doesn't have any slipstream anymore. Looking through the rest of the field, it's settled down a bit now that we're in that second pit window. Yeah, nothing particularly close at the moment, but obviously once we go through all the pit phases, then we'll really see what battles will form on track. So Bing Bong provisionally leading. Dusky is in somewhere like third or fourth. Zanies is up in that second position. Will Bing Bong pit? Yes, he does. Doesn't want to lose too much time with that slipstream. Will he get a penalty? He continues on. Yeah, that line is incredibly difficult to see. That's ridiculously close. You cannot see that, so I very much understand why these guys were having issues. Dusky gets the lead by an absolute century. So in terms of battles right now, Dusky very much has got a gap on Josh and Bing Bong. Josh might have one SPS of slipstream. But I have a feeling that this is what Dusky needs at this point in the race. He should be able to now stretch a gap. As long as he has just a couple of tenths advantage per lap. Under the tyre and into the carousel. Bing Bong has the slipstream on Josh. Josh very wide through there. That's going to lose him quite a significant amount of time. Now, the battle for fifth place, meanwhile, is absolutely ridiculous. 4 cars battling for position. The battle for fifth is absolutely ridiculous. In fact, no, this is the battle for fourth. I apologise. They're nearly 4 wide. 3 wide for the... Holy Absolutely ridiculously close. System comes out on top very briefly, but it's absolutely impossible to commentate on this because they're all just going inside of each other and changing positions constantly. Nitrous takes the position off of all of them. Now Zatanius into fourth. System has a big old crash. Nitrous launches it past all of them. Through the carousel once again. Nitrous into fourth. But they're once again 3 wide. And Titanius, for the briefest of moments, takes fourth, but now Pope takes it off of them. And once again, Nitrous takes fifth off of Zatanius. Both of them will have slipstream off of Poke. Zatanius wanting Zenvo to stay ahead of them, but decides to back off so they don't get slipstream. And also Zenvo retires as well. Oh, Nitrous ridiculously wide out there. And through the carousel, 3 wide. Still battling. The final system's going to slowly be catching them as well, because he's going to have the slightest amount of slipstream from them. And through the last corner, Nitrous with that 4th position. Poke and Zatanius literally inside of each other. It's the battle of the Renos and one Viper. And Nitrous once again in that 4th position, just continually changing positions over and over. System is now back with all of them, so it's now a 4-way battle for 4th position once again. And now System up into 5th, up into 4th. He dropped 2 seconds back and is now right with them. Through the last corner, System in 4th. Nitrous tries to lunge it in, but can't quite do it. System pits. System spins it into the pits. Nitrous, what the? Zatanius in 4th position. In terms of the cut limit, no one's ridiculously close to it right now. If people are careful, they won't hit it. However, they do have to be careful, otherwise they will hit the cut penalties. And Attains in fourth. A little bit of a gap now, the Poke will have that slipstream to immediately try and take that position back off of them. Through the long right-hander complex. Then entering into Sector 3. A little bit of a wheelie section into the last corner, onto the last lap. Well, not last lap, the last corner, sorry. Oh, there's a bit of a wobble there. Won't impact him too badly. While we're at it, and the battle just continues going on, but the battle is so hectic, it makes it very difficult to commentate on because constantly people are changing positions. So into turn 1, this is a flat out corner. Through turn 2, you kind of want to take a bit of a shallow line through here just to really hit that apex. Not as shallow as Poke, but about what Nitrous did there. Then it's down this long straight into the downhill. Then it's a reasonably tight left-hander. Again, you want to take a slightly shallow line just to hit that apex because these cars really want to push wide. Up the hill, you want to start turning about when it goes blind. Then through this left-hander before the bridge, again you want to take a shallow line. Then really hug the inside, get a wheel on the grass through this long right. Don't try and cut it. Then this next corner is completely flat out, it's not even a challenge for a corner. Down the reasonably long straight. Into a pretty quick right-hander. It's deceptively fast, this one. You kind of want to get it hooked up, but just get a little bit of rotation through there. Up onto a little crest, and then into the last corner. Once again, hug the inside and get an exit. Very good corner for Zatanius there. Poke into the pit lane. Gets it slowed down. Poke disconnects on the line. And well, that brings it unfortunately down to a two-way battle for P4. And still side by side are Zatanius and Nitrous. And into the castle. Nitrous a little bit wide, launches it through, but that'll push him wide for the corner. Nitrous in the slipstream. Poke has reconnected, so he'll probably be put back with them. And Dusky, it seemed like, sped in the pit. So Dusky sped in the pits. That's another 3-second penalty onto him. So, all F Josh and Bing Bong have to do now is just try and get within 3 seconds of Duskier. He's made it a bit harder for himself to try and get this win, but with the gap he had before that, the pit phase, he should be okay. Now, the people closest to penalties for cutting are Zatanius and Pedro on 20 at the moment apiece. once again, Nitrous Pit. So the battling is calmed down a bit, unfortunately. And Rob into the pits. So Rob pits, fairly clean pit there, fairly cautious. And here comes Nitrous. Rob comes out ahead. And yeah, Poke's been rejoined back with them all. Poke, Nitrous all inside of each other. Rob just ahead of them. Nitrous launches it into that corner. Nitrous and Poke battling with each other. Zatanius in 4th position but defending heavily from them. Poke, Nitrous still inside of each other. Poke getting ahead of Zatanius now with that slipstream. Very wide there for Zatanius. Nitrous taking the 4th position. Chams is actually battling with Terminator, although he pits. So the main battle for this race is with Poke, Zatanius and Nitrous. We're entering the last 3 laps of the race. The pit window has now closed nearly. Nitrous launches past both of them into 4th, but then Poke and Zatanius launch back past. Zatanius really wide there, loses out a whole chunk of time to the both of them. And still going at it. Absolutely ridiculously close between them. This has been going on all race. And Poke and Zatanius and Nitrous all inside of each other. Still side by side. There's not even any point in commentating on this because it changes so often. What you say is never correct. Poke in P4, Zatanius in P5, Nitrous in P6, all within the same little bubble. Into the double left. Poke running a little bit wide. Zatanius gets a better exit. Poke drops down to 6th. Nitrous launches it through there, but will get a worse exit than them both. Drops all the way down to 6th from 4th. Zatanius now in 4th position. Just over a lap to go now. And through this final little complex onto the last lap. And both of them launch past Poke into the last corner, entering the last lap. Nitrous in 4th. Poke slipstreaming past both of them. through turn 1 on the last lap between this lot. Nitrous in 4th, Poke in 5th, Sustainers in 6th, still all inside of each other, absolutely ridiculously close. Nitrous out wide, all of them still inside of each other, they lost a little bit of time on the exit. Into the downhill, through the left-handers. Satanius out very wide. We'll just and Poke up into 5th. Satanius in 4th. Nitrous now into 5th. Poke in 6th. Satanius in 4th. Nitrous launches it way too wide. That's going to compromise him. And now Poke inside of Zatanius. This is good for Rob, actually. Poke up into 4th, in fact. And Bing Bong and Josh inside of each other. Bing! I don't even know who got that. And now on to the battle. And Poke gets V4! That was quite the finish there. And there you go. That is your finishing order. Thank you for watching, those who've bothered. And on to the next race.